Daily Likutei Halachos, Hilchos Tefillin, Parak Hey, paragraphs Chaf Aleph through Chaf Gimel. This Torah, which is a truly remarkable one, speaks about how tefillin are connected to the idea of David haMelech. He says as follows, that we know when we do Kiddush Levana, we say the words Shetischadesh Ateres Tiferes La'amusei Voten Shehem Atidim Lischadesh Kemosa. Ateres Tiferes is a reference to tefillin according to the Tikkunei Zohar, says Rabbi Nassan Daftes. And over there it says, like we say the bracha, Oter Yisrael B'Sifara, as in Shulchan Aruch Chaim Chav Hey Sif Gimel says, that is called Ateres Tiferes. This is actually a connection point to this very source of life itself. And that's represented by, in the heavens, Chidush Levana, which is eternal, constantly renewing life. As we said yesterday, it says, Amusei Vaten, that the umbilical cord is really the most filled with cells that regenerate life the most powerfully. And that's why they store it away to be used in future occasions as therapy to renew a body or an organ that has fallen into decay. And he says this is the inyan of David haMelech, who really did not have his own source of life. As we know, David haMelech would have been a Nephel, chas v'shalom. He wouldn't have made it past 30 days. However, that Adam Rishon himself, according to the Medrash Tehillim, Tzadik Beis, and the Zohar, Vayishlach Kuf Samaches, says that Ki Ikar Chiyus Shel Adam Harishon Nimshach B'Bchinas Arach Ampin. He had a connection to the very sources of life, which is also called Arichas Apayim, which is associated with the Sipurei Maisios, which Rav Nassan here connects to the Sipurim of Doiros Rishonim that are included in Sefer Bereshis. These all are quote-unquote ancient tales that infuse us with chiyus. In other words, the Torah is actually a source of permanent life to Klal Yisrael as we connect ourselves to the Avos, their Maisim. We learn all the parshas about their ways and all their challenges and how they handled it, and on much more deeper, mysterious levels, it gives us a source of Chaye Chaim. And it's the beginning of the Torah, like the beginning of birth, like the cutting of the umbilical cord. Now, this idea of Hayom, Ani Hayom Yeladeticha, which is in Parak Beis, is associated with Mashiach and David haMelech because he was Zocha, that he turned everything around. In other words, he really was not destined to have any chiyus at all, B'chinas Malchus, which doesn't have anything of its own, and he was given Shivim Shana by Adam Harishon himself, who was connected to the ultra source of life. Nassan also remarks how this is why in the early generations, prior to the Mabul, they lived incredibly long lives, hundreds of years, 900 years plus. Mesushelach was the oldest to live. He lived older than the 930 years of Adam Harishon. I think it was 969. So it shows you they had incredible life force energy within them, Koyach Chiyus, and this is the essential energy that David haMelech had experienced and who the Mashiach Ba'atzmo will experience. And it says, he says this is the element of tefillah. Notice that tefillah is very connected to the pasuk Shmos Lamed Gimel, V'niflinu ani v'amcha, that we're different. We're like a Pella, we're like a wonder nation. The tefillin speak to the idea of nefilah, an idea that we really can't understand how Klal Yisrael has endured and continues to live, but because it is a midas harachamim, which is the bechina of kesher shel tefillin, as it says in the Brachas Zayin Amud Aleph. That's the shorish of the neshama, according to Rav Nosson, of David Melech Mashiach. It's himself who was a nefil. So now he connects the idea of v'niflinu ani v'ata, which is a reference to tefillin, to also the holy nefil, as it were, David HaMelech, who was zoche to chaim chadoshim at each minute. He was infused with life in each minute, and that's the inyan of tefillin. And therefore, when everybody puts on tefillin, they literally, like a laser, they connect to an energy source that bestows the eternity upon the Jewish people, as it says in Tefillin of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Mi ka'amcha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz.